Purdue advanced last night with a 61-48 win over Old Dominion. They will play Villanova. Thank you. They will play Villanova tomorrow night at about 8:40. Welcome to the Purdue student athletes. The Purdue locker room is now open for the next 40 minutes. Questions for our student athletes on the podium? Any questions? Go ahead. Please identify yourself.
Ryan Fannin with Villanova Radio. For both of you guys, if you could just talk a little bit about this stretch of early on in the year, through 11 games, you were 6-5, and now I believe you won 18 of your last 22. What's been the biggest difference from that first part of the season until these last couple months from both your perspectives?
Start with Ryan.
I feel like when we were 6-5, we had a couple games that were really close, and we couldn't quite close them out. But that 18 out of 22 stretch, we kind of just figured it out.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Just kind of buying in to what Coach Painter was telling us, and just kind of, I guess I'd like to say, focusing in on the defensive end. I felt like it was the small things and the details that we weren't really executing with. So we were able to put that together, and we was able to string along some wins.
Other questions for the Purdue student athletes? Go ahead, man.
If you guys can just talk a little bit about last night, sort of a unique situation with Eastern and him supposedly, I guess, slipping in the warm-up line, and just sort of how you guys got word of that, and then one of your elite defenders is not playing the entire first half, and then he plays in the second half. Just sort of talk about how, as a group, you guys handled that news and sort of how that played out. If you could just explain a little bit about that dynamic of that story.
Yeah, I think some of us saw it happen. He kind of just slipped and fell under the basket. I thought it was just a wet spot, but, he ended up hurting his ankle. That obviously stinks when your key players gets hurt. Those non-contact injuries are always pretty scary, but we came in at halftime and he was running and doing some cutting drills, so we're just happy to have him back for Saturday.
Yeah, same thing. Just kind of seeing that incident happen, which I was actually standing right there, just kind of helped him up. And I thought it would be okay, but then once he kind of went to the sideline, I realized it was a little more serious. But then, Eric Hunter stepped up and just kind of play on the fly, and just got to kind of make changes, just kind of go with what you have.
Other questions? Yes, right here.
Dylan Sin from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Last night you guys took 30 of your 53 shots were three-pointers. Is that something that is a little bit of a concern, or is that kind of where you guys want to be in terms of the balance of threes and twos?
In a sense, I thought, most of those shots were pretty good shots. Some of them did fall, some of them didn't, but that's actually a pretty good stat. I didn't know that. It's something that against Villanova we need to get the ball in the paint, and they're pretty good, with not allowing that. So when we do get those paint touches, good things happen. So hopefully we can change that next game.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, but I guess it kind of just goes with the flow of the game. You have guys around you that can shoot the ball well. Sasha, Ryan, Aaron can shoot it some. Even Matt hit a three. And just being able to have guys around you that can shoot threes, it doesn't seem too alarming to shoot a high amount of threes. But then also at the same time, you kind of want to have a good balance, be able to get in the paint, get the ball inside, and things like that. So.
Rebecca Schneider with the Purdue Exponent. They have three guys who are 6'9", and obviously you guys have got Harms, some tall guys of your own. How do you guys take advantage of that mismatch situation?
We kind of got to just play our game. I feel like we've been moving the ball pretty well, especially last game. So they're pretty good at guarding the first and second action. We've got to make them guard the second, third, fourth action to get what we want.
Yeah, just kind of agreeing on what he said. Just kind of, I guess, going with the mismatches, but then also they have strengths of theirs. So we just got to be ready for tomorrow.
Any other questions?
Speaking of strengths, if each of you all can answer this question, what do you think at this point in the season is probably the 2 or 3 biggest strengths of your ball club overall?
First.
I'm gonna go first this
Go
time.
ahead.
The biggest strengths. I don't know. I don't like to kind of just talk about what I think our strengths are as a team, because I feel like we still have so much to work on as a team, and we're continuing to try to improve even when it's late in the season like this. So, but I mean, I can tell you what our main focuses are every game. I can tell you that, and I think that's just honestly just getting stops, regardless of how we are on the offensive end. Just being able to get stops and try to limit them to one chance to score the ball. Is getting the rebound, not giving up second chance opportunities. And then after that, just kind of executing on the offensive end, whether that's a set or a play or even in transition, just getting the best shot possible. Those are the 3 things we focus on, being patiently aggressive. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously agreeing what he said. I feel like our strengths kind of vary. You know, every game it kind of changes, but we need to be a little bit more consistent, especially against a good team like Villanova.
Any other questions?
You guys are playing the defending champs tomorrow. Does that enter into your mind at all when you're taking the court, or is it more just we're trying to get a win in the tournament?
I guess I wouldn't say it doesn't enter my mind. I guess it enters my mind just in the respect factor. You respect them as a team. You respect the history they have and the players they have on their team that are really good players and play well together, fundamentally sound, and things like that. But at the same time, you just got to go out and try to take it as every game and just value every possession and just try to get a win.
I agree.
Anybody else? Any other questions for the Purdue student athletes? No? Okay, then we will excuse them, send them back to the locker room, which will be open for another 20 minutes or so. Thanks, guys. Good luck. Thank you. Coach Painter will be here about 4:15. Good luck, Ryan. Okay, folks, we will wrap up our off-day press conferences, joined now by Purdue coach Matt Painter. We'll be up here until
Thank you.
4:35. The Purdue locker room remains open until 4:35. Questions for Coach Painter? Right down here, front.
Matt, just curious, anything similarities you see between either the program you have or the program you want to have and what you see in Villanova from a culture standpoint?
Well, obviously, they've done a very good job of finding their guy and developing those guys. With the 4 guys that we faced a couple years ago that are now in the NBA, and Pascal and Booth were in the game that we played also. So you can see kind of the evolution of their program, from one year to the next, and then how it kind of continues. And they've had some guys leave early, but they've also had older guys. They've had a very good balance. And I think that's what you have to be able to do, is have that consistency in recruiting and not have those empty classes, especially in their case where guys will leave after they've developed in a short amount of time. That's so key, and that's how you keep winning. That's how you keep winning Big East championships. That's how you keep winning national championships and advancing, is by, not by having a couple good guys, is by having, a handful of really good players that buy into a system. So their discipline and their toughness, and then obviously their decision-making and their skill, it isn't just like a one-year deal or a one-player deal. It's it's a vision. It's a group of guys buying into it and sticking together and playing hard.
Hey, Matt, Bob Ford from the Philadelphia Inquirer. How are you today?
Doing good.
Good. You guys got a lot of components to your team, but you've got such a volume shooter and scorer in Carson that I'm sure teams do a lot of different things to try to limit him, unless he can obviously get off and change a game for y'all. What have teams tried, and as you look at Jay as a man-to-man switching defense, how do you expect them to attack Carson?
Well, I think they're going to make it difficult. They always try to, take guys away, whether they're switching ball screens or trapping ball screens or switching other action away from the basketball. They're going to get you out of rhythm. And the one thing with Villanova, no matter who you have on your team, they're still going to do the same things that they do. Like, they might change a little bit, but for the most part, they're going to be very physical. They're going to play very hard. They're going to make you beat them in a different way than you're used to. I think that's probably more important for our team to understand is when they take something away, you can't stand. You have to keep moving. You have to go to that second, third option, and you can't panic. I think once they get you kind of shooting into a crowd or shooting a little further out than you're used to, they have you where they definitely want you. You still got to be able to get the basketball in the paint. It's no different than what they're trying to do on the offensive end. Like, if you just let Villanova live in the paint, they're going to beat you. You have to do something, and you have to be steady enough on the defensive end, to keep them out of there.
Matt, Bailey Chambers from the Purdue Exponent. Just your thoughts on what Jay Wright has been able to achieve at Villanova in his time there. Obviously, he couldn't get over the hump for a while, but 2 times in the last 3 years, he got it done.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think, people that don't win the national championship, I think they do get over the hump. It is pretty difficult. You can't just call one team a successful team and the rest of us are failures. I think there's a lot of great coaches out there that don't make the NCAA tournament some years. It's very difficult. It's very competitive. It's a hard thing to do. But, no, he's obviously did a great job at his previous stop. And then obviously earned the right to get the opportunity at Villanova, and then has been here a long time. I think that's a hard thing to do, is stay someplace for a long time. You have to have consistency, you have to have discipline, and you have to continue to learn from your own mistakes. And I think just from reading articles about him, and 5, 6, 7 years ago, they might have got a more talented guy or maybe higher ranked guy, but it wasn't a Villanova guy. And now here they've done a much better job of, in the past 5 or 6 years, getting his type of guy and then, really fitting into their culture. And it's obviously led to a lot of wins and a lot of championships.
Right here in the middle.
Hi, Matt. John Fanta from Big East Digital. Just to extend further on that, how hard is that to do in this sport with the current culture of it, to get 4-year players like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, those types of guys?
Yeah, well, not all those guys were 4-year players, even though they stay 3 years. I think you put them in that mold, but I think the hardest thing to do for him is knowing when they're going to leave. You know, if you have a one-and-done guy that's the #1 ranked player in the country and everybody knows he's going to leave, you prepare for that. And when it's obvious, the people you're recruiting understand that, and you don't have to argue that fact. But when you have guys that wait in the balance, and after their second year, they might be an end of the first round or second round guy or middle to the second round, they really don't know if they're going to go or not. And with that, most people that sign top 100 type players, you sign them in the fall before you get to that point. So that's a very tough balance to be able to do. You know, you always have to prepare that people are going to leave, and then when they don't leave, you know, these freshmen, they don't want to come in and sit. You know, they want to come in and they want to play right away, and they want that opportunity. I think he has a great situation because now he's, you know, won at such a high level and been very consistent. He can show the substance. He can show what coming and maybe playing a role for a year and then developing into one of his stars in year 2 and 3 has paid off for those guys that have been successful at Villanova and also been successful professionally.
Here in the middle.
Matt, can you provide an injury update on No-Gel and whether he's going to be a game-time decision or he's cleared?
Yeah, I would think he'd be all right. We're going to go and practice a little bit here, not much, but I think he'll be okay. I think it was really good for him to get, you know, into the second half and be able to play a couple minutes for us. But everything looks like it'll be a go.
Right here in front, Dom.
Yeah, Dom Amori from the Hartford Courant. Coach, I was wondering if you got any chance to see Murray State yesterday, or how much you might have seen of John Morant, and just as a basketball guy, what your take is on him.
Right. I've just watched him a little bit. I watched a little bit of the game yesterday, obviously not live, but he plays in a league that I used to coach in 20 years ago. So there's always been talented players in the Ohio Valley Conference. We played Belmont this year, and we were fortunate to beat them. And they're obviously a really good team, well coached. But I think the guy at Murray State, you know, Matt does a good job. It's hard sometimes when you get a guy of that magnitude, but it's also kind of easy when they're passers. You know, John Morant passes the basketball. You know, he keeps everybody happy. And when you have the guys that can score 30 points in a game, but also, you know, can get guys open shots, and they have a couple guys that can make shots, and they got a couple good interior guys, and you have that balance at that level, that's pretty special because you have a big point, but you have size and you have shooters, and now that's what high major teams look like. High major teams look like that kind of a balance because you're able to go out and get those guys. But I think John Morant's a pretty special player. When you can affect the game in different ways, you know, it's hard to get into a tournament and then really scheme for those guys. Because he can do it on your own. You overdo some things with you, and those guys are making threes. They're going to be a tough out.
Other questions over here on the left?
Adam Betts, Journal Inquirer. Coach, how cool do you think this week has been for Aaron Wheeler, being a Connecticut kid? And then what are you expecting for him tomorrow?
Well, he did some good things for us yesterday. He got a little bit in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, but I should have played him more in our last game in the tournament. You know, he did some good things for us. They had a good front line, big front line in Minnesota, but he offset some things with his ability to stretch the defense, and that's really what we need from him. You know, we need him to stretch the defense and then get out in transition and make some plays. Last night he had a really good play in transition where he got fouled and scored the basket. So we feel like Aaron's going to be a really good player, and obviously last year he redshirted. This year, you know, he plays about 10 to 15 minutes a game, and then obviously keep working hard in his progression where he's going to play more for us in the future. But things work in mysterious ways, and so to be able to be from Connecticut and then come to a school in the state of Indiana and then play in your first NCAA tournament back in your home state, that's pretty cool. It's a little surreal.
Any other questions for Coach Painter? Yeah, right here in the middle.
John Fanta, Big East Digital. Matt, what do you think about the versatility of Eric Paschal for Villanova?
Oh, you know, he's a tough cover. I just got done watching him versus us 3 years ago. He had like 14 points in 8 minutes. But we had a different group. He played like the undersized 5 for him in that tape. Then obviously we've watched him a lot through clips and things this year. And so, you know, not too many guys can say they can play the 2, 3, 4, and 5 and guard those positions. He's one of the few guys. I think he's got a bright future just because of those interchangeable pieces. He can shoot it, he can drive it, he's powerful, he's explosive. I think he'll play in the NBA for a long time. But you have to be there with him and get him out of rhythm, and then you have to be able to keep him in front of you. And there's not a lot of people that can do that. And so that's going to be I don't think a challenge for any one of our guys. It's going to be a challenge for our team. And just to try to keep him out of rhythm, keep him away from the rim as much as possible, and just not let him get going. This is when great players get going, they're tough to stop.
Yes, okay.
Can I ask one more Carson Edwards question? Sure. Okay. When you were in the recruiting process and you were looking for a guard, and I know there were some local-ish guys who you were looking at, Xavier Simpson and the guy that went to Illinois whose name escapes me. But anyway, so what made you say, no, we're going to go with this kid from Texas who really likes to fire it up, and, we're going to live and die with him? And what about him made you say, let's give him the scholarship?
Well, it was actually, the scenario was different. We had a guy commit to us in the fall that decommitted to us in the spring. And so then we had to start our recruiting at that time. And so trying to now get back involved with Xavier Simpson, start recruiting the kid that ended up going to Illinois, that has transferred from Illinois since, and then pick up Carson's recruitment along with about 4 or 5 other guys. It's something that I don't like to do. Everybody says, hey, these 4 or 5 guys that are left are good enough to play in the Big Ten, but that doesn't mean they're the right fit for Purdue. I want the guys that fit at Purdue and they're productive. And now if there's 5 or 6 guys out there you can get involved with, how many of those guys fit your criteria, and then how many of those guys can you get that that do fit your criteria. So that's a sticky part of recruiting. So when we jumped in with him, just his ability to make shots is what jumped out to me. Just I just think when you have somebody that can shoot that way and put that kind of points on the board, you just got to be able to figure it out. And so we took him kind of as a point combo, but just a quality player. And we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate to be able to get him, especially the circumstances that I explained.
All right, and back.
Coach, I asked Carson and Ryan this question as well. 2 different questions. First one about the growth of your team from 6-5 to now 18-4, your last 22. What has been the biggest areas of growth in your team in this great 22-game stretch you played?
What did they say? Because they're the ones that play.
I said it was coaching.
They said it was all coaching?
Yes. They said they got a
no
great
question.
coach.
They're still trying to get more minutes, and they play 34 minutes a game. I think it was our ability to defend and just ultimately play harder. The thing I talked about after the Notre Dame game was, we all try to find our ways through our scoring. And one of the best things to be able to do as you grow as a player is to get over yourself. And it's really hard to do. As a coach, you got to get over yourself. Bill Walsh calls it the disease of me. You win games and you think it's you, but in reality, it's just a small part. If you win games at Purdue and you coach at Purdue, do you have a hand in the success? Yeah, yes, you have the hand in success, but very, very small part. It's still a player's game. But as a player, if you have that attitude that, this is a team game and we're, in it, and if you score 30 points and you understand that a lot of people helped you score those 30 points, it makes it work. If you score 30 points and you think you're the one that did it all, it just doesn't work that way. But while you're trying to find your way in a game and you play 6 to 10 minutes a game or 10 to 20 minutes a game, and you're taking your value from that, from the 3 shots that you get, then you're missing the big picture. If you take 3 good shots and miss them, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you take 3 bad shots and you go 1 for 3, there's something wrong with all 3 of those bad shots, even though 1 went in. You have to take your value and your effort and your attitude and your ability to be productive. Guarding your man, not turning the ball over, executing. Those are the things that lead to winning. So I really, just tried to get each guy to understand that. And also just kind of like when you're losing close games, we lost to Florida State, Texas, Virginia Tech. They all were, there were possession games. 2 of them were on the road, 1 was neutral. We're not that far away. But yet, if everybody can just be 1 possession better, we're going to put ourselves in a lot better position going forward. And that was just kind of the message. I know it's a lot of stuff that I tried to get across to each guy. And I thought each guy, in their own little ways, sacrificed and did those things. But I thought the guys coming off our bench really helped. They really helped understanding that their 10 minutes was important. Instead of thinking I played 10 minutes and this stinks, I don't get to play more. Because if you keep a good attitude and you keep working hard and you're a freshman, your time's going to come.
We have time for one more quick one. It's quick. Right down here.
Casey Bartley, Hammer and Rails. St. Mary's deployed 2 big men occasionally last night against Villanova. Is that something you saw that you think you could work with Harms and Williams? You've used it a few times this year.
Yeah, I think we could possibly do that. But, whoever's playing well, whoever's defending and doing a good job, I think who we'll stay with. I think that's going to be an important piece to this game. What guys do we have who start and what guys do we have coming off the bench that can match up well with them? That they're very versatile guys, and so it's a tough matchup for us. So if we can do that and still take care of the basketball, I don't see why there's any problem of us playing 2 bigs. But a lot of times we just stick with our rotation and with the guys that we have.
That's it. With that, we'll excuse Coach Painter.
All right,
Wish him
thank
good
you.
luck tomorrow. Once again, game time about 8:40. The winner advances to the South Regional in Louisville. Thanks, everybody.